Hey, what's up, YouTube fans? So what I wanted to talk about in this video, right, is one of the stupidest lines of argument used often by creationists, right, where they will they'll like have an expectation that we should now in the present observe like a evolutionary change like so large that it takes millions, even hundreds of millions of years, and they'll like say something like, well, if evolution is real, if evolution were real, then we would be observing monkeys evolving into humans again in the present, and fish evolving into frogs, and they'll say various things like that. But the thing is, for one thing, we wouldn't expect to get, something that already evolved to be re-evolved, right? Because it's unlikely that something else would just coincidentally evolve into an elephant over again, or a human over again. They're going to evolve into something else that never was before. So that's one thing. But then for another thing, with some of these more larger scale changes, the span of time that it takes, right, we wouldn't expect to observe it in the present, right, to like all happening at once. And sometimes when we say that, sometimes when we try to explain that, they'll like see it as like that we're trying to like make up excuses or whatever, but it's really not like a unreasonable excuse or something. And part of why it's like dumb for them to like pretend like, oh, my problem is that we don't observe, fish evolving into elephants, and that's why I don't believe in evolution. For them to have that be their argument, part of what's dumb about that is most of the major creationist organizations already acknowledge like that groups could they acknowledge like relatedness of groups at a larger scale than that which is observed, right? So like Answers in Genesis, Creation Ministries International, Institute for Creation Research, most of the major creationist organizations will say that they are fine with species being like everything like up to the family level all being related, right? And they will even it's even like important to them to have that be the case, because it helps with them being able to fit all of the animals onto the ark for the Noah's Ark story, right? And so they will tend to be convinced that like everything within a family, taxonomic family, that it could all be related, right? That's already well beyond the extent that we observe of evolution, right? And they agree with it to that extent, right? And so then for them to like say like, oh, so my reason for disagreeing with evolution is because we don't see a fish become an elephant, and so therefore evolution is impossible because we don't observe a fish becoming an elephant. It's like you guys already like believe in evolution to a greater extent than the extent that we observe, right? So and yet up to the taxonomic family level, right, we never observe things like that large of a scale all being related. We don't actually observe it in real time. And so then why would we think that we would observe things like in the order level all being related, or the class level? If we don't even observe it for the family level, then we obviously can't observe it for any of those larger scale levels. And they're already like on board with everything within the family level being related, right? And we're talking like up to the family level, that's oftentimes like groups as much as hundreds of species. You know, like one of their talking points is they'll be like, oh, Darwin, you know, he only proved that variation exists because, you know, he proved that, you know, finches could, you know, change over time, but they're still finches. They didn't become anything else. That's one of their talking points, right? And yet a group like finches, we're talking about hundreds of species, right? So they're already allowing for hundreds of species to all be related, right? And so then that's why it's a BS argument, right? When they're trying to say this whole thing of like, oh, you know, if evolution were real, we would be seeing, you know, fish becoming elephants in real time. And then as for like, what are the reasons for why it happens slowly? You gotta remember, evolution is a process that happens generation by generation, right? It's a matter of changes of inheritable traits for populations of organisms across generations, right? And so you have to wait a whole generation to get the change, right? And yet, any single generation for many species is a very long amount of time, right? Like, for example, for humans, you know, once a human produces a baby, that baby does not go on to make babies itself typically until decades later, right? And so it happens very slowly, the evolutionary changes that add up over time, right? All right, that's all for now. See you guys.